Let's kick this off. The recording is on. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're from. um, the team, we got a small team today. Ronan's on vacation. Um, he's enjoying his time. I was on vacation a couple days as well. Um, so we're here today with the AMA. I don't think, we do have some things to talk about. I didn't put them into the talking points, into the announcement. Um, it's probably going to be mostly a lot of questions. We do have a couple talking points, and I'll let the boys kind of take it off from there. I know we have a node creation adjustment conversation, passive poker update, new devs, and marketing as a whole, and then as well NFTs and energy update. You guys want to kick it off with maybe the node creation adjustment that's coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, so obviously there's been a lot of chat this week about sustainability, what we plan to do with it. A lot of ideas have come through the pipeline. Some we already had submitted to cut over the last couple of weeks. We finally got him to start on a node price increase that we believed was fitting. It's pretty much done. It's in the testnet stage. Um, it will be something that will most likely be able to increase later on as well in time. It probably won't be a fixed thing, but in the short time, it's definitely going to be an improvement. It should slow down the rate of compounding, and also slightly slow down the rate of new nodes being created currently while this price is low. Um, it'll be good overall for the project. And yeah, it was something that a lot of people did suggest in the chat, so I think it should be received well.
Yeah,
That's what we can notice.
yeah, and it's definitely something we're working on with trying to even out the sustainability as everybody sees the sell pressure is a huge thing right now, right? As the even with V2, the whole market. Let's zoom out a little bit here, right? The whole market is taking a whooping, and sadly enough, power has taken a pretty big beating with the beating that Phantom took.
Yeah.
So we felt it even a little bit more as we transitioned into the V2 contract, and sadly enough, it's not enough, right? We do need to get some more marketing out there. So trying to figure out the sell pressure and how to adjust it. I know there's a lot of ideas out there. Andos and the
Yeah.
guys, Shadow, Don, they are taking it all in. Like you should see this document that the guys have of all the stuff they're putting together and working on behind the scenes.
Yeah, me and Don go pretty wild there in the chat, bouncing ideas off each other almost continuously all day. Um, there are some brilliant things being posted in there, but I also wanted to touch on the fact that this is why there was parts missing to the updated white paper. We called it updated, we called it the new white paper, but there was obviously some parts that had to be left out in the short term while we do these adjustments. We didn't want to add them in there and then have to change them straight away. So we've left it, and obviously the white paper will be updated again once these changes are completed as well. So for those people that are asking why doesn't the tiers actually show the prices and stuff like that, well, this is why. Um, in a couple of days, obviously, it will be updated.
Yeah. Well, and what's good too is if you guys have noticed how the white paper has been made or adjusted, it's not full control, just a PDF. We've added it to the site, and now the mods kind of have a little control of we can update it a little bit. So that's a good thing, right? We aren't waiting for the dev team to make all the adjustments. There's been a lot of stuff delegated down to the mod team, which is great. We still need approvals and whatnot to get it done, but at least we can do some of the adjustments. So that's a good thing. That's a positive thing, and moving in the right direction, trying to speed it up.
Yeah.
And talking about node creation, adjustments. It's something that we obviously Thor did it a while back. It's something I wish we probably would have done earlier. We just didn't. It wasn't something on the table. We thought maybe the devs were taking care of, but now that we see it, having Dawn and Shadow and all the ideas in the community, it's something we definitely need to look at as we see the sell pressure still pushing. So there's. Go ahead.
Yeah, and there's not also there's not one solid fix for the entire situation either. I believe that's what's going to make the Node project stand out from the rest. It's it's multiple ideas. I believe it's more like a 4 or 5 step program. Like V2 is something that was needed, and it is going to help. Um, the Node price increase is the second thing, and then there's also a couple other things that are obviously already in the pipeline, and when they all come together, that's when you eventually end up with a sustainability. Um, one step at a time doesn't completely solve it, but when they all come together, that's when people will notice it, and I think that's important too.
Agree. And well, and let's be honest too, right? As these protocols we're seeing in the space, there's got to find utility. Got to find something, other than just selling the token, right? And so that's the other conversation. I know we are getting the merch store up, and I've actually seen it. It's ready to rock and roll with Shadow and what he's done on the backside. He's done a lot of work. We're just making sure we can utilize the token. That's close. Um, and then we had passive poker, and I'm gonna leave this to Andos, but we do have passive poker, and it's something we do got to be careful with. There is some information floating around about Discords being shut down because of gambling sites and whatnot. So it's something that Andos is looking into and reaching out to Discord themselves to get a little clarity. Um,
Yeah,
so we got to be
yeah,
careful. Go ahead.
I'm back and forth with Discord at the moment, trying to get the exact clarification on their community guidelines. Before launching the passive poker, I actually did read through it all. Um, to try to have a pretty good understanding of what could be done, couldn't be done, what could be said, and what can't be said. And to my knowledge, the way we have things set up right now, it is within those guidelines. Um, the way things are hosted, and also the fact that these tournaments that are being promoted are free to enter. Um, there is no payment required. Therefore, these games aren't technically gambling, even though it's a game that is for gambling. Um, that's why I need to get this clarification from them. I'm not sure how other Discords have run their poker in the past and how they've promoted and what they're actually doing for them to get shut down. But so far, to my knowledge, we are within those guidelines. But I'll get definite clarification from Discord in writing, to obviously make sure the Discord is safe and that we're all following the rules. Hopefully, I'll have that soon.
Yeah, no, but I guess we just wanted to talk about it. It's something we have to be careful with. We were all kind of excited and loving passive poker. So I want to say rumors or not, Discord's being shut down. I don't know if that's even happened or if it's true yet, but we're gonna look into it. We want to make sure that's not something we're subject to. So we just want to
Yeah.
share. That's all. Um, all right. So that was passive poker. New devs. We do have some new devs on the team. Lou, and you guys saw the in I teams, IT teams. They are working on the adjustments that the mod team and Cut have put together and laid out. They are on what do we call it? Like a test.
Yeah, so there was a lot of applications for this position. So these two were the standout ones of the bunch, and they've been put on a testing probation period to show they're definitely their capabilities. Their resumes are extensive, and on paper they obviously seem like they're very qualified for the position. But obviously that needs to be shown in a test. So
Yeah, yeah. So that's something
go on.
just something for us to I don't want to say watch out for and deal with as we try to grow. Right, we on paper it looks good, but potentially might not work out. So something that happens, but we just want to make you guys aware.
Yeah,
Um,
because you can be a great dev, but you got to be able to mesh with this particular contract, this particular project. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's got to be that feeling out stage.
yeah, no, absolutely. Just wanted to talk about that. And then marketing as a whole, I know there's a lot of conversations about marketing, and I know there's been we've been trying, with Twitter and our partnerships with Comb. Actually, and I wanted to bring Comb over here to the AMA. Things kind of happened pretty fast, and they're super busy. I know their lead dev, who I've been talking to, has been traveling a lot. Um, but marketing as a whole, yeah, it's definitely something we wanted to jump onto with V2. But then as we get into the lower pricing and mass amounts of nuclear nodes being made, it changes the sustainability conversation even worse, right? We don't want to go start marketing and be like, oh, hey, look at us, we're at $3. Um, but it also doesn't stop us from trying to continue to do the marketing. It's just we have to be careful. We have to make sure we get in the right direction.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, we don't want to exaggerate a situation that people are already currently worried about.
yeah,
In other words, if anyone's out there is worried about the node count, then obviously projecting that to another few million people probably won't put it in a direction they want to see until these other solutions are set up.
correct. So yeah, just
So
trying to explain the marketing as a whole. It's not stopping. I know Digital Duck and Shadow are talking, trying to figure that out. Are you involved in that too, Andos?
the marketing side of it,
Yeah.
not so much, other than DMs that I'm getting from YouTubers.
Yeah,
um,
no, no.
but yeah, they're leading the way on the marketing.
Yeah, I want to say it was Shadow and Digital Duck, and I know I'm involved with, looking at him as well with them. So just was bringing to light on that. Do you have any? I know we've been talking about, we have obviously sustainability on our front of our minds with where the market's going. Did you have any other kind of updates for like NFTs or energy, Andos?
Uh, Not really on top of what I've already spoken about in previous AMAs, but the NFT rollout was meant to start pretty much straight after the V2 and white paper was completed. And the white paper was completed, but then we've straight away gone and addressed the sustainability issue first, with the node costs and the few other things in the pipeline, which won't take too long, but that was put first as a priority at this exact time. So the NFT ideas pretty much have been slapped together with what we believe is the best thing for utility and stuff. There's a couple more ideas that are being rolled in recently to add to that list that we believe are good. Um, but it's pretty much the two devs that we've brought on, along with Cut, will smash that one out pretty quickly as soon as these other updates are done, because all the information is there. So it is coming. It's pretty much all laid out for them to complete it. It's just these other sustainability things have obviously taken the priority in the short term. So
Nope. Yep.
that's what we're waiting on.
Yep. Just wanted to share. I know we talk about it. I know we get questions daily about it. I just wanted to share.
Yeah, well, the question was before is like, is it happening, or is energy going to be involved and stuff like that? We can say that yes, it is to both of those, and it's not just starting from scratch when we get up to it. It is already planned out and done. It'll be just more about implementing it when the time's right. That's the only thing that needs to be done.
I agree. All right. Well, that's really kind of all I have, other than well, that's all I have. Just talking on some updates, working through with the new devs and all the information on the backside that I see the questions. When are these taking place? When is this happening? Um, here's what we can say. Once we know that it's working, right, with node creation changes, the cost changes, we will announce and give a timeline as to it's happening on this date, right? At least that's the idea and the goal between the mod team and the and cut, is to at least make sure you guys are aware that it's coming, and give you time. So once we know that the contract is working in the test environment, then we can announce that it's going to get pushed and give like a 24-hour warning type of thing, is the idea.
Yeah, so because it's urgent and we do need to get it out there, the warning won't be an extended period of time. I think 24 hours is where we'll be looking at, notice wise,
Yeah.
so we can just get it in there and get it done.
And the biggest thing is to think too is this is not affecting existing holders, right? This is going to just change the pace at which new ones are being created. So
Yes.
just want to put that out there. It's not cutting rewards, or it's not. We're finding other avenues right now to try to fix the sustainability before we start going down those avenues.
Yeah, and yeah, it's also not, we're not talking massive mind blowing increases either, because we want to be able to have room for adjustment in the future as it goes on as well. So while it's a step in the right direction, it's not going to be an overall massive shock to people. I think it's what people expect.
Yeah, Oh, agree. All right. Like I said, that's all I had. So if we want to bring anybody up, mascot, if you want to bring somebody, open the questions, bring anybody up. I do have. I got to keep up with these.
Just turned them on.
Let's keep
Put
going.
those hands up, people.
So raise your hand, come on up, ask us some questions. I'm going to answer one in the chat right now. I see it. If we start buybacks, how do we avoid exploits like front running bots eating away the treasury? If I remember good, that was a big issue of buybacks at Wonderland. So there's different ways you can handle it. Obviously, front running bots exist, and you can't stop them all. I think if you buy smaller amounts spread out, it helps rather than buying huge amounts right up front. Cut has always been pretty leery of buybacks and wasting the treasury. That's one of his biggest things. I think the mod team has multiple times, expressed like, how about trying to match the days. Let's go back and pull some data, and what's the sell pressure? Let's just say for that day it was $60,000. Let's take that and spread that out over the day, not just one buy, and make it turn into a trend versus just a big green candle that then everybody sells. There's a lot of ideas that we've thrown out there. And I hope they're listened to, and that's the way we're gonna at least push it. That's one way to fight the bots, because the more you buy, you got to change your slippage. Correct?
Yeah, the consistency is going to be the main thing. Like I said, pretty much the contract sell pressure in reverse. I believe is the way to do it.
I agree.
Not announce them, just trickle them in there, slow and steady,
Slow and steady.
hopefully
Change
that
the
does
trend.
the job.
Yep.
Yeah, just stabilize it. That's all it needs to do.
All right. Anybody coming up? No hands. Man, this can be. Oh, there's
I
one.
invited someone. Abdul, if you want to come up, you have an invite, but you have to accept it on that bottom bar. In the meantime, we'll bring Weekend Hype up.
Yeah, if you're on mobile, it might be at the top too. You might have to hit accept at the top of the Weekend Hype. What's going on? Can you testing? Is this thing on?
Look at that, 2 for 1.
Hey, they're
Bit of
both up
stage
here.
right.
You might. So if you're on mobile, it's kind of tough to do. I don't know why, but Discord won't allow you to do speakerphone. But you gotta
Yeah,
unmute
it's
yourself.
an absolute pain in the ass. I'm trying to watch this final table, and I can barely hear, but it's got to be done.
Hello guys, Abdul, Weekend Hype. I can't hear either one of you. Well, while we get them, I've seen a lot of questions. Is there going to be possible see a centralized exchange listing? That has to be in the conversations. That's going to be something Cut has to fill out the forms, fill out the documents, and go those routes. I haven't seen any information as to where we are with those, but I know that's something he wanted when we transitioned into V2 and sales tax conversations. He knows that those limits you, so he didn't. He wants to be on centralized exchanges, so he took off the sale tax type of conversation. So I know it's on his mind. I just haven't seen any updates. Definitely something we can ask. But right now, I think he's managing the new dev team and making sure they're pushing through with our updates that we need. Weekend Hype. Are we still having some technical difficulties? Have the devs thought about a new contract with tax? It's a lot of work moving everything over, but might be worth it in the long run. How about creating the DEX by power for power? All exchange fees will go to the treasury. I really do like creating our own DEX. Like there's a couple Discord or a couple protocols who have their own DEX. How they built it, is above me, but I think it would be great. It gives you a utility as people swap, and you get some of the exchange rates or fees.
Yeah, I think I'm still wondering what the UOT is planning in terms of that, because I think that was something that was mentioned by them, wasn't it? Something like a cross-platform exchange for UOT in general. I'm not too sure, but I think it was something like that a while ago that was mentioned.
I mean, it can be built. It just there's a lot of there's a lot of funding behind it, right? Creating these pools of liquidity for the
Yeah,
exchanges and whatnot. So it does get tricky, and it would take all these devs across the UOT to make sure they're working together and then each provide the liquidity. It's doable, absolutely.
Yeah, because I've been out of the picture a little bit with Loki there because I've been flat out. But I think that was, I don't know, I just get the feeling that was something that was mentioned, a cross-platform setup between all the UOT, and then obviously, yeah, you then split the dividends between the projects that were involved in it. But I don't know. I'd have to maybe speak it to him about that.
Yeah, no, I agree. But like I like the ideas. It just takes everybody getting together. I know what happens is you get protocols. Obviously, everybody's trying to fight the sell pressure. Thor's even dealing with it right now. Comb went through a node cap, but they have other mass amounts of utility with their pools and staking, and now there's Zcomb. So, um, it's something all protocols are kind of focusing on, making sure they're sustaining their prices and keeping away from massive sell pressure. As you start to grow, they got to build a team out to have one team focus on this and another team to focus on that. So it's something that needs to be brought up because it gives you more utility, right? As you create some dexes that help bridge and swap these is a huge thing in this space, especially for Phantom, right? Phantom is still really hard to get on, so it could be helpful. Since you guys take a massive inspiration on strong model, can we expect, if the protocol lasts until there, you guys to build something on their chain, assuming they play their cards right, of course, on the strong chain, like on the Ethereum network? I don't see us going that route. Aren't they on strong and Polygon, if I'm not mistaken, or Ethereum?
Ethereum Polygon, yeah.
Yeah.
So they want their own chain. I don't know. I think while the idea of what we do is based on, I don't think we're really, hand in hand with what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'd like to see us go down our own path. Really, if we're going to do
Correct.
something, then do it ourselves.
Agree. I would agree with that. I wouldn't want to just change. I know our devs love the Phantom Network, so I don't see that changing. But I could see us building something on the Phantom Network to help the Phantom Network. Is probably what I would see.
Yeah.
UOT Dex Marketplace. Let's see. I've asked. Here we go. I've asked this many times with no response. Will we have a dollar value in the LP pools and a separate claim button for claiming rewards from the LP? Also, a claim all button for all nodes. So the claim all is coming. that's what one of the devs has been working on. We're trying to figure out why it's taking a little longer than it should for the claim all button. And even Ronan is on vacation. Ronan is waiting for that to be initiated so you can put the button back up. Dollar value in the LP pools and a separate claim button for claiming rewards from the LP. I think those are great ideas. That gets into something with the dollar value in pulling information. It gets a little above my head. I would say that's a cut question, or maybe a Ronan and Dabs question. Sadly, we don't have them here. Is it possible? I would say yes. It just need them to focus on it and to build it. I know there was some issues with the APR. The calculations to figure out impermanent loss and how all of that works. I know that was I want to say that was an issue early on. I don't know if we got it cleared up because I haven't heard any complaints lately, but I think Cut was working on the APR numbers and values. I hope it has been cleared up. I haven't seen any. Have you guys seen any issues with that lately?
Nope.
Yeah, no, I'm not here either. So, Renegade, how about Power Chain? Exactly. So that's what I would rather see is our own chain or something built. Got to give utility, create a use case for power other than just to sell. You guys got to understand that's what these protocols. Hey, 1% and earn passive income, but we got to create utility, and so getting there is probably more important right now. Figuring out if it's our own chain. I'll say this: that I know that's going to take a while to build. So. And you would need a full team to do it. When will we start marketing on the project? So Londog, we talked about in the beginning. We talked about how marketing was something that we definitely wanted to dive into, and we did with Comb and doing some partnerships and getting out there. But with the constant sell pressure and the change in our price that has driven up the amount of nuclear nodes. We have some data that the guys have been pulling where, our nuclear nodes far exceed what Thor is at, and that's in relation to us not changing the cost of them as our price went down. So there's some things being worked on as we got to figure out the cell pressure issue again. V2 didn't obviously solve it, and it's more so because of the price and the market as a whole is driving down, now making a nuclear node so much easier to attain, which then is changing our emissions daily. And so trying to keep up with that is the idea. What about the marketplace with real merchandise?
Okay.
Oh, Lawn Dog.
Sorry, I was bringing some people up. You just were slamming through those questions. I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, go ahead. I didn't see anybody come up. By all means, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just calling. I was just seeing what we needed to do on. What was I going to say now? Oh, are we going to change the price of nukes to help some of the cell pressure?
We're so yes, that
Are
was.
we going to change? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yep, definitely looking into changing the cost. Very similar to what Thor's doing. I think Andos wants to change nuclear nodes to be like 1,000 tokens, and then I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
Maybe one day.
No,
Maybe
I'm just kidding. No, definitely need to be adjusted. That it needs to be, and sadly we didn't do it sooner to help with the emissions. As as we sat down here at $11 for a long time, and then we drifted down ever since Phantom and the Andre Cronke thing. We've drifted down here where we're at. It's just made nuclear nodes so easy to attain.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's what I was wondering because, that's all anybody's making now is nukes.
Yeah, no,
because they are easy to obtain.
Yep, you're 100% right. The issue comes into implementing and changing the contract and doing it. We're actually, so our plan today was to announce those numbers and the things that are going on right now. But there was some issues on the contract side. Testing it didn't work, so we're waiting for. Like I said, our idea is once it's for sure it's going to work, we'll announce and give time for everybody to understand the changes coming, and then they will push the contract change.
Okay, and that should naturally, I mean, I would think that would naturally correct the price as well because it wouldn't be so much sell pressure.
That's the idea. I mean,
somewhat.
Yeah. Well, and it also changes, the whole compound. I've said this before, and compounding is a great feature, right? Everybody likes being able to compound without tax, but then when you think about compounding, everybody was able to compound without having the protocol getting any kind of, anything put back into the protocol itself when you compound. So basically all you're doing is everybody's compounding at an exponential rate, which then just kicks the count down the road, right? Now everybody who had 10 a month and a half ago, now everybody has 20, and now we see where we're at, right? So things have to be adjusted. I don't want to go down any huge roads of massive taxes like I've seen a couple others do, but everything's on the table. We got to figure it out.
We don't want to go the way of R&D and just overnight flip 75% taxes on people. That's never what we want to do.
I didn't want to say a name, but yes,
I'm sorry. Did I say R&D? I meant like some people.
No, you're right though. That's we're investors as well. We're with you guys. I'm invested in a lot of these projects.
Sorry, out of the bag.
Yeah, but we got to think about that as well. How we can keep that balance is definitely something we got to think about.
Okay, yeah, I mean that's what I was wondering, just seeing if we were gonna up the nukes and all that kind of stuff. Because I mean now it's down. I mean I hadn't checked it today. What is it, like $3? I mean, so $150 to make a nuke. Back when I bought in, it was $2,500. I mean, just crazy.
Well, what's really cool is we have a couple of the other guys who have come up with a really cool idea, and I'm just gonna go ahead and share the idea, and it's still being pitched, but there's like a backing price where if we choose let's just say $20, it takes so to make a node, if we're below $20, you still have to pay the $20 amount to make a node. If it's above, let's say it's $25, you're paying the price of the token. So 10 tokens.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, and so it changes
that's not a bad idea.
Yep, those are things that these guys. There's a lot going on in the background. It needs to be fleshed out and worked. Taxes are always on the table, trying to figure out how we can implement and make those work. We gotta. I think the biggest thing is finding utility, and while we find utility at the same time, working on that stuff to keep the sell pressure down. But it takes time.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was just wondering because we wasn't getting a whole lot of information on what was going on.
What was that? You're breaking up, bud.
Background working for sure.
I lost half of what you said. You weren't getting a lot of information about what?
Yeah, we were trying to get information on just to see why the price was tanking so much.
Oh yeah.
I mean, of course, we've already been through this back whenever January.
Yeah,
I think
Christmas.
that's back whenever I got in. Yeah. So I mean, we already been through all this. That's nothing uncommon we hadn't already seen before. I was just curious of what was being somewhat done in the background to kind of try to correct some of it.
Yeah,
and that's what I was thinking. The nukes were just getting crazy on everybody compounding the nukes with them being so cheap for sure.
Yeah, no, we agree, and I would say the fault lies on us where we went through. We're trying to get new devs, trying to get them implemented, and then that shifted your focus from one thing to trying to get people on board to help with speedy recovery, and then we missed maybe a boat of maybe if we did this 2 weeks ago, we'd probably be in a much better position. But
yeah,
it is what it is. We're trying to keep up.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, I mean, that's about all I got.
No,
Appreciate
thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you for coming up. Eric the Red.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hello. Good. Yeah, so I'm pretty big into the Thor side. Been there, for a while now, since the whole ring debacle. But so I haven't been on the power side as much. But I just saw your name popped up, and I did have questions that are tied to power as well as Thor. And because you're part of the union transparency, maybe you can give some insight. I was wondering about the marketplace that is coming from the Thor side. Is there going to be benefits that power is also going to benefit from that marketplace that you guys are aware of?
Not that we're aware of. So, the devs talk probably more so than maybe the mod team. I know me and Nylock talk from time to time, but things get really busy. What they're doing with their marketplace, and then if we are able to utilize it, I think it would take a lot more conversations between the devs because we're a Phantom in their AVAX, right? So, and how that marketplace could work for us. I'm sure it could. It would have to be a dev conversation once we get there. I will say Thor's ahead of us with the NFT conversations and marketplace. But that would be a great idea, U of T marketplace versus just a Thor marketplace. But again, now Thor is giving up something they've created and spent the money on, right? So there's a lot of conversations that would have to happen there and how that works. And that would probably take the devs more so with that kind of conversation. Whether they're having it or not, I don't know. I just know with us with power, the mod team here, we're the ones trying to push for NFTs and figure out all that information and how to implement it through our dev team, not come in the opposite direction. So I would say that would have to be an idea we take to the dev team to see if they wanted to continue that.
Sure, yeah. So I guess like from my perspective, how I envision, I guess, sustainability, like 3 areas for DeFi that really need to focus in is, a marketplace to allow creators to sell their product and for our ecosystem, Power and Thor, right, to be able to collect taxes of any sort from it that will create a sustainable market, as well as having like a DEX DAO hybrid that we could be able to lend out the liquidity to other DEXs if they don't have liquidity for pairing, for Power or Thor, as well as the DEX collecting royalties based on that transaction, right?
Yeah.
And then the third area I think is very important is like Anchor, have a place to be able to borrow, which I think can be risky. But the deposit side, if we could be able to balance the borrowing and the deposits, kind of like Anchor has been doing, and they're getting a little out of whack now, but if we could have those 3, like Power or the union transparency, can have those 3, I think it could really make a sustainable market.
Yeah, no, those are great ideas. I agree with I agree with all of them. The anchor one, I think, the third idea gets really deep, and borrowing and uh, just I guess from my perspective, I guess I get nervous with the amount of time. Sadly over here at Power, things just take a little bit longer to make. So that's a huge hurdle I would see on our side, but not something out of the context. If we keep growing this team and we get some devs who actually start producing undercut and helping in that aspect, it's always something doable.
Yeah, I didn't mean specifically with Anchor. I meant
No,
in
I know.
general, whatever aspect or asset you choose. But
Yeah, the idea basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep, exactly.
No, I understood.
Yeah. And so I was wondering, because I have been out of the loop of Power, maybe this is already been answered, but is there going to be like a node cap for Power, and you guys going to be moving to NFTs similar to Thor?
No, so I want to say no, right? And that's because before you move over, so NFTs, you have to have your own marketplace to be functional. Without that, you are cutting your legs off. And we've seen that with
Yeah,
the
I would
NFT
agree.
space where they're nodes, but then they're able to sell on OpenSea or NFT Trader or anywhere. People are undercutting because they want to get out, right? Let's say you bought this at 1,000, and you're like, I'm just done with it, and I'm going to sell it for 500. Now the token you have created becomes worthless, right? So you need your marketplace. Thor, like I said, Thor's ahead of us in that game, where if you're creating a node cap, right? Think about as a node cap, that's how the rewards are generated by node creation, right? So if you cut that off, you have now limited your rewards pools being replenished. How else can
Yeah,
you do that, right? So there's a big balancing act there. You have to have the utility there first.
yeah,
Thor's working on that. We have not had that conversation here at Power about node caps. It's definitely conversations more with this, the sustainability, taxes, node creation, and then there's also a conversation happening with decay. What kind of model can we build where when you really think about these, can these truly last forever? Do we need to have investors, you get your ROT plus a certain percentage, and then it just becomes, very, very, very low. You get your ROT out, and then, it's something that you come back and check, and it's giving you 0.025% after you've gotten a certain amount. I mean, there's a lot of ideas on the table for that. That's not something we've fleshed out either yet, but uh, that's kind of the avenue we're going versus changing nodes to NFTs. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I still don't know. We still haven't seen that play out fully.
yeah.
Like,
Well, I think that's why Thor has not been, and because I have asked the question directly to Loki about the Dex DAO, and he said no comment. But he did emphasize, he goes, "You're a smart guy. We've had a lot of conversations. I think you know the answer to that." I think what they're staging here is not just a marketplace that they're going to launch. They're going to launch several avenues of revenue coming in that's going to replace the node creation.
correct.
The marketplace is just what they've announced, right? Everything else is still under the covers.
Yeah.
So I think if you can get all of that, and I think that's what they're going to do, then you can have a good sustainable model.
I agree. You got to have it all in place, right?
Yeah.
And I have visibility over there at Thor, and they have a huge team and a great team working on things. We have a great team; it's just much smaller, and it moves a little slower, sadly. And our price represents it. I'm not going to lie about any of that, and it is what it is. We've kind of come to accept it here as well. That uh, you know, once we get some funding for things that we want, as we've seen, we've finally gotten some merch store information, building out a site. Getting that built has taken longer than we wanted, but we're getting there. Same for NFTs. We had the impression they were already kind of in the back door with the devs, but they weren't. So here's now the mod team is pushing and doing everything they can to fulfill that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So I was curious, like, what is the vision as of right now that's public, at least that you guys can share, I guess, of Power specifically.
I'm sorry, say that again.
What is the vision of Power right now? That like the mid term vision, I guess. That would be public.
What is the midterm vision?
Me and like, hey, like so like Thor, like, right, their midterm visions, they envision a marketplace, NFTs to replace node creation, node cap, and they believe that they can create a sustainable model with this type of vision, right?
Yeah.
So I would assume Power has something similar. I mean, obviously not the same, but
Yeah, I would say ours is kind of what I laid out earlier. It's not all worked out yet, but I like Andos getting energy to have maybe like NFTs on the side as boosters or something that can help with claim taxes and whatnot in that aspect, and then maybe building out as a decaying model where investors have to reinvest in after they've gotten their initial out. I would say that's our our short term vision right now is trying to make sure we can be around longer versus charging everybody 80% tax, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't want to be a project that jumps on this bandwagon of node caps, because I know there's a few of them that are doing it, and I'm still yet to see an explanation on how exactly it will work out in the long term. I think the idea of it is a short term relief to the community, but I'm yet to see or understand a long term solution with that working. So I don't want to jump on board that bandwagon and say, yeah, let's do a node cap as well and follow them down the rabbit hole.
well, and I'd say the same for NFTs, right? NFTs as knows I
Yeah,
have the same feeling. I get nervous where you hope, right? You create a P2E game, and you hope that revenue generating will create enough to keep the rewards pools up, just as well as our the treasuries. So there's a lot going on there, and I'll say this, Cut and us, we have a this space is very much experimental. And as you see it, like just having this conversation, everybody's seeing and picking and choosing, trying to pick their own avenue. I think each team has their own goals, and rather than, to
yeah,
Andos's point, jumping on the bandwagon, we got to find the one that works for us.
yeah. I want to highlight on that a little bit as well. Like, just because the space is experimental, but it doesn't mean that we're using the community as the experiment. Like, what experimental is, we come up with the idea, we assess it, we bounce it backwards and forwards, we tested it in the background, get it right, and then if it is right, that's when we bring it to the community. Compared to, say, using the community as the test, just pumping out the idea, hoping it works, and if it doesn't work, just come up with a new idea and put them through that. So experimental, but not just testing everything that we think of. We think of thousands of things a week, and obviously we go through them, and you guys only see the ones that made the cut, to say.
Well, and
So
thank God you don't do that to the community. Like Midas, I don't know if you're familiar with Midas, but they're on V3 right now, and the community is in shambles because
there's a few projects that have just gone, hey, this will work, thrown it out there, and then 2 weeks later or something, it's just gone to shit. But yeah, there's a lot that does happen behind the scenes. I'm in this Discord and on the chat most of my day and night for the last couple of weeks, and it's just constant. There's no downtime at all. So I know it's hard for the community when there's not a whole lot of information being shared out in the open, because if we were to share every single idea or every single thought that's come to our mouths for the last couple of weeks, then it would just be us talking in the chat consistently. And these would probably be disappointed that not everything was done. But it has to go through that process, and you guys will get the best of those ideas once they've been tested. So yeah, I think the short-term vision is obviously, the mid-term vision is just select 4 or 5 of these 1,000 ideas that we are confident that is going to work, and put them all together as a package.
Yeah,
and that should lead to sustainability. In theory, it's already there, so it's just got to put it into practice now.
agree.
Yeah, and by the way, I wasn't like emphasizing that you guys should do a node cap. I was just curious if what avenue Power was going. That's all.
No, understood, and we get it too, right? We believe me, there's conversations on the backside on do we cap off nuclear? Like, oh my gosh, like they're getting out of control. What do we do, right? So it's definitely a conversation, but you trying to figure out how that all works as you put the pieces together is when we start going, okay, you cut that off, you're now cutting off one of your legs. Then what do you do, right?
Oh yeah, I think both your legs and maybe your arms. Like, yeah, it
No,
could
but
definitely be devastating.
yeah, so we got to figure out, we got to get all that worked out and keep building. I will say our biggest struggle is the time it takes for us to build. I'm not a dev. I
Yeah.
can't. I wish I could I'd be sitting here all day coding. Sadly, that's just not me. I'm not that person. So we just take a little bit
Yeah,
longer to do so.
We're
yeah, that's the
developmentally
thing.
challenged, remember?
Yeah, it's easy for me to sit there in the
Yep.
mod chat and say, "Hey, do this, do this, do this. This will be great. Work on this." And
Yep.
in my head, I think it's a simple thing to do, and the devs are probably looking at me like an idiot.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I'm only asking the world of them, but it will be quicker now with the new guys.
I did want to throw out there. I don't know if you guys heard that Strong Block is going to be doing a node cap. At least that's the latest on it.
Yeah, we everybody's sitting back watching what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
We'll see. Comb did
Yeah.
it. That's I'm going to be brutally honest. Comb did it. They have done a great job. I know they've taken a significant hit as well in price. Oh, and I just went over there today, and that I just feel a little sick now. They did a node cap as well, but they also have, they kind of transitioned into a DAO as well, where you stake and earn Zcomb, and it's a whole new ecosystem. They also are creating a metaverse, so eyes are on them, seeing how that's working. But we'll see what Strong does as well.
Yeah, and Strong's so Strong's got the DK model on top of that as well, don't it? So does Comb have a decay model? Or is it just a cap or something else? Because Strong's decay model already, and then if they do a no cap on top of that, then that's a little bit different. But
well, it's confusing. So I'm heavily invested in Strong over there as well. But so Ethereum, this is why I didn't choose the Polygon nodes, because they're on Service 2. Service 1 Ethereum nodes don't have decay. There is talks though that more than likely Ethereum Service 1s are going to be almost forced to move to Service 2. That you have to move your nodes over to Service 2, and at that point you would have decay.
Interesting.
But there's no. It would be you acting to do it, and so there has to be some way that they're going to entice us, which we don't know yet. They haven't announced that. So I'm assuming there's going to be a.
Because I've been saying in the chat for a while, like I don't like the hard cap, but I believe that with a soft cap with an increasing price, even if the price is astronomical to get in, the door should be left open. If someone wants to pay the massive price to get in, then them coming into the project at that massive price won't have that negative effect as, say, creating 1 million nodes at a low price, because they've paid their money to come in. That money's been put to the treasury, that money gets invested, and that money that they put in should sustain their node that they created, compared to just saying no new people, no new money, doors shut, token has no utility. I don't know. I don't like the idea, but like I said, I'm yet to see it. I could be proven wrong by all these projects that have done it. I don't claim to be the smartest person in DeFi, so I want to see them.
Me neither.
I want to see them work, and if they do work, it'll be great. But I don't know. I still don't like it at the moment.
Oh, I totally agree with
closely.
you. I'm concerned with it. And so when they introduced Strong Chain, if you look at it this way, that like Strong Chain is basically building the roads, so essentially like a government collecting taxes to build those roads. That's what Strong Chain is, versus the roads being built by a government or another entity, and then you building on top of it. If you build a business that's on top of it, that could be more lucrative, more profitable than the government building the roads and collecting taxes from that.
Correct.
That's been the thing with Strong the whole time, isn't it? They had all the nodes, they had all the people, they had the ecosystem, but they didn't have a revenue source, or they didn't have a treasury or anything like that. So I guess it's their time now to start putting it into motion. Yeah.
They did, but the problem was that, they didn't execute on it because they didn't see that it was a long-term strategy. So they actually invested in nodes, like the Polygon nodes, right? They had Polygon validators, and they were getting, revenue from it, but nowhere near the revenue they needed. And that's why David Moss put a kibosh on it and said that that's not the path forward. And that's when they started making change.
Yeah. And I haven't been following their project as much as I probably should have, just because being so preoccupied here. But that David Moss is a very smart guy, and if anyone's going to figure out it probably will be him. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, like I said, all eyes are there, trying to see the next step. But I do agree, we still need to try to move in our own direction and figure out our path. They won't always be the same.
Well, guys, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. I've taken a long time. I'll let somebody else speak.
No problem. Thank you for coming up.
Good.
All right, bye.
Abdul, before you ask your question, I've been pinged about 27 times in chat. I want to want to try to answer one of these. I got one for you guys. Would a node yield cap be possible to do so that nodes won't just keep printing without people compounding, something like the drip network is currently doing? Node cap, node yield cap. So like a kind of like you get your ROI out, and then if you're not compounding, it stops type of thing.
Yeah, like you hit plus 20% and then it stops or something like that.
Yeah.
So you
Well,
guaranteed your ROI plus a percentage, but then it's no more after that.
yeah, and that's kind of what I think that's very similar to kind of what we're talking about with the decay, right? If you do a decay model, um, it's not that it just stops, but it then becomes, very, very low, let's just call it 0.025% a day after you've gotten your ROI. You've gotten your ROI out type of thing. I think we're very similar conversation or ideas, just a little different way to
Yeah,
handle it.
I went to the extreme scale and I suggested it to the team and said, yeah, so you get your ROI plus it's slow, but then it slowly does go completely to zero. And I only said that so then all nodes that were bought at 40 cents, 50 cents, $1, all that will eventually be cycled into a node that has a hard backing at some point. So everyone that invested low, they got their ROI, they made good money, they got their money back plus profit. But then in say 6 months' time, that node will cease to exist, and then if they compound, they'll be forced to compound to the backing price node. So they'll no longer be at that tiny price node after a certain amount of time. But
Yeah, good ideas.
that was just it was just a thought.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that's on the table, and we're kind of already talking about it. So, I don't know much about the drip network, but the node yield cap or the slow decay, I know there's a couple out there who are doing a slow decay. Does it go to zero, or does it go to some very finite, reward base, or do you then have to rebuy it? Let's say you have 10 nodes. Do you then have to buy all back 10 nodes to get them going again? I don't know. There's a lot of conversations there.
Yeah, it could be another use case for energy. It could be something there.
Yeah, exactly. Where you utilize your energy to then maybe kickstart
Give
them
some
back
more
up.
fuel.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah,
Abdul.
the possibilities are there.
Abdul, welcome to the
So,
stage.
hey, so my question is, I seen, man, like every day we have like hundreds of new protocols come in
Mhm.
place. And I'm involved in a couple like Strong, Thor, and a couple of Wonderland, and so on and so forth. My question is, what will Power be doing unique to draw more new investors, than um, sustain the price and so on and so forth? I know I heard a lot going on already with the nodes increase and marketplace, so on and so forth. But what will be something unique Power will be doing, looking forward to drive more new investors to jump in?
That's a great question. Right
I
now,
think it would be just.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'll let you go.
Nope, go
No, I was
ahead.
just going to say, I think a lot of it's going to revolve around the size of the treasury and how we utilize it. Obviously, a lot of these node projects, one comes up with an idea, and then the second one jumps on board, the third one jumps on board. Next minute, you have all 10 or 15 node projects kind of doing the same thing. I think just the fact that we won't instantly be jumping on board with that train and trying to have our own path is what sets us apart, marketing wise as well. Trying to be that black sheep that does things differently. I think there's going to be. I think there's going to be a bit of difference in possibly our tax system as well. That's probably not been done before.
But I want to chime in here too with the what we utilize the treasury for. I think getting out of the norm and just saying like, oh well, let's invest. Building something with that money, right? We do have a good $5.8 million in the treasury. Let's build something. Let's differentiate ourselves from others than, hey, we just invest 200,000, 300,000 every time. Let's build something that will eventually be for the future. And that's kind of where I want to go with it. What that means and what that is, I don't know yet, but that's at least where I want to see things go. Is let's utilize that mass amount of money to build something greater than just
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have the biggest treasury in the node space. I think I'm not certain on that, but I'm pretty sure it is the biggest treasury, and the treasury doesn't actually show the profits from the investments either. I'm pretty sure either. So there is a hefty chunk of money, and that's also based on the current price of Phantom. If we see some moves in Phantom, we could see that treasury double pretty quickly as well.
Would love to see Phantom double, please.
Yeah, I think it's I think it's a when, not an if question with Phantom. So.
I mean, I think that's what the devs are betting on. But Abdul, I know the answer probably isn't directly what you wanted to hear, but at least you're talking with the mod team. We're obviously have a limited amount of control in what happens, but I hope we somewhat answered it.
Yeah, no, definitely, because I think there's a really large community within Power, Thor, and also another question that I have is that, for us that do live within the scope of the United States, it's kind of hard to get the the nodes, right? If you're going through Coinbase and all of that, they don't have the bridge to send it over to.
Phantom.
And what are you guys working into? Are you guys looking into get into exchanges or try to figure a way or how to videos on how, because people do find it complicated. When I do tell people about, hey, you want to get into power nodes, they do kind of find it complicated bridging through and going through all of that extra miles and extra steps to create those nodes.
Oh, I agree, and I want to say let me pick off that, right. Us getting on a centralized exchange would help that tremendously, because right now the biggest issue is Phantom is even when you get on the Phantom network or the Phantom token, it doesn't come to the Phantom network. Coinbase doesn't have it. KuCoin does, and I want to say Crypto.com has it, but it doesn't come to the Phantom network.
Correct.
Yeah, so you're right. It's a huge, and we're talking Phantom, right?
Yep.
and so that's the hardest, first step. If we can get power on an exchange, granted it might be small, but at least it gets that bridging and issue first hurdles out of the way. Okay, get on the centralized exchange, get your money, purchase the power token, and send it over here. It definitely helps, and that's why everybody asks, well, why centralized exchange? Why do you even want that? But that's one of those reasons. It more adoption, easier to access, easily accessible compared to some of the others.
Yeah, because I did have a couple of friends lost money by sending it through those exchanges. I think that it goes through Ethereum ERC20, and when they do get there to like convert it over the Ethereum fees, they just hectic, they just give up.
Yeah, we do have videos. I want to say we do have how tos and how to buy. There's channels up there. We definitely try to help. And I want to say there's been a couple YouTubers who have helped us as well, and we put them in the channels. It's just sometimes people don't see them all. There's a lot of information in the Discord. We do have a YouTube channel, which the AMA is getting put on. There's information out there. It's just making sure you get to it.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you.
Are we wanting to bring more hands up, or what are we thinking?
I'm good with one or two more. I definitely do have to get ready. Today's my son's birthday party. Need to get him going.
And it's my dad's birthday today too.
Oh, happy birthday!
He's sitting right here with me.
That's cool. You want to bring? What do you got? I know Shadow's yelling at me in the channels. What do we got? There's my favorite, Love NFT. Welcome to the stage.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, I'm great. So I just have a question about. We've really been speaking to it, and I'm here every Sunday and I'm listening. And my biggest concern is I feel like the mod team has more ideas than the dev team, or it's not really translating. And we can say what we want about what Thor or Strong will pull off, but what we do know is that they are extremely bullish and very confident, and they have a very, very clear path ahead. And then we'll see, right? But for Power, because I'm heavily invested in both, but for Power, I'd love to see a more concise, clear, direct plan as opposed to sort of reacting or waiting and see, because this is also a game of who gets there first, right? And so obviously we don't want to make mistakes, but we also don't want to wait and wait and wait because you can wait too long and sort of miss the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So this new dev team is coming on. Can you just kind of maybe speak more to, will we be able to start really solidifying very clear and direct and concise plans for a future in the near future?
That's a great question. The only thing before I dive into that, the only thing I will say is in this space, it isn't always best to be first. Like, and I'm gonna use
Okay.
NFTs as a node. That was a mess, and I'm so glad we didn't jump on that. Right there, Cut has made it clear to us, and it is a very experimental area. We do not know what Strong's about to do or what Thor's about to do is going to work. We don't know. Nobody's done it, right?
Right.
So I want to be careful there, and I agree with your sentiment that we do need to start blazing our own path. I agree wholeheartedly.
Right.
So
Whatever that path is,
yes,
right? It doesn't
yeah,
have to be one or the other, but I think it has to be something
agree,
clear.
absolutely agree.
Yeah. DeFi is so rocks and diamonds. You could either look like the hero or you can kill a project with one move.
Yeah, well,
So like
that's funny you say that.
it's that simple.
Yeah, there was one that they moved the funds for to be prepared for something, and they moved it into a wallet that's locked, and then all the funds the project had to end. It was crazy. But no, I love NFT. I love I agree with your sentiment completely, and that's something that the mod team now, bringing these guys on that we have, our focus is going to be, trying to allow the team and the community to have more input. Most of the ideas are coming from the community and then are being sent to the dev team to implement. And
Right. And do you find that
The reason
problematic?
I do.
Like, I'm wondering why the dev team isn't more proactive, I guess. And is it only Cut at this point? Is he our only dev?
So that's funny you asked, because I asked the same thing, and it's
Yeah.
not. He does have, I think we, every team has a little different dynamic, right? And our devs, where they're from, I think they're still trying to do their normal day jobs and then trying to still do this, right? And that, to me, that's a little frustrating as well, where you're like, man, you got $5.9 million in the treasury. I think you can stop and focus on this. But I don't think everybody has that ability, right? It might sound great to be able to quit your job and do something like this. But, put yourself in that situation, does it work? I don't know. Everybody has a different opinion on that.
and that's why it may seem like the mods come up with all the ideas, or the mods have more ideas, and it's simply because of the time spent in the Discord.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not currently doing another day job. I can sit here all day, all night, from the moment I wake up to the moment I sleep. So I'm seeing a lot of the chat, taking in a lot of the information. I'm also observing what other projects are doing a lot more closely. So I'm naturally going to come up with more suggestions, and fire them at him rapid fire all day, every day. That's not to say that he hasn't got his own suggestions either, because most of the time he comes back to me and says, thought of that, done that, process that, and half my ideas go out the window instantly because he's already done that. And so it's not that he's not actively thinking about it or not actively coming up with his own direction like that, because he is. We just are more vocal about it than what he is. That's anything that's different.
Yeah.
And speak a little bit to this expansion though, because you're saying you're bringing on more devs. Like, what exactly does that mean, and what does it look like?
So, being fully transparent, I think what they're gonna do is Cut manages everything from his team to the inside of the Discord team, right? And the Discord team is the mods. So I think he's got too much on his plate, and something the mods have truly noticed as well is there's just too much on his plate. He does struggle with, he doesn't like to communicate. Come to AMAs. That's not his forte, to sit here and talk. We've tried, and he's come once or twice. He's done 2 AMAs, one with us and one with in the very, very early beginnings. So understanding that, and then him trying to bridge the communication between what his team is doing and what the mod team is trying to do, I think he has just too much on his plate to be that project management type of situation. So bringing in devs who can then implement the ideas that the moderator team, and then he just stamps his approvals, I think is what he's looking for, right? So he's bringing in some devs who can work on that stuff faster than he can, while he's trying to do 4, 5, 6, 7 different things at a time. He can now delegate a little bit better.
I see. So basically, we're bringing on support for him, but he'll still be the lead dev.
Oh yeah,
moving forward.
Yeah, he's definitely
Yeah,
not going anywhere.
lead dev and project management in the one. You have to forgive me.
Okay.
I'm running on very low batteries.
No worries. And then what about expanding the rest of the team? So, and look, I know it's a different scale. You can't compare Thor and Power. But as we know, Thor has, I know they're approaching like a 40-person team.
Yeah.
Are you guys also trying to expand and bring on other team members in addition to mods and devs?
So that's kind of the limit, right? Is trying to constantly bring on people. I've asked for more help, and then the question is, okay, so what are they going to do? And you know, being in the limited capacity that I am in, with no funds, I really struggle with asking people to help without having the what's the word I'm looking for? The funds to then behind it to say, okay, I need this, and I'm willing to pay this. That's all in Cut's hands. So when it's you know, we bring to the table, we could use another mod or we could use another dev. The dev team was actually his idea, and I'm so happy to use something he opened up to and said, okay, you know, this is just too much on my plate. I need help. And that's that's the way I saw it, and I'm very happy because let's get to that point. Let's see how those work out, and then so what's that showing to me is we're growing, and he's opening up his, in my opinion, he's opening up his checkbook and finally saying, let's go, let's get some more movement going. I hope we do
Right.
continue to grow.
There's
Yeah.
also a lot of trust when it comes to a dev side of things too, because obviously this code isn't just out there for everybody.
Yeah, it's
It's
their baby.
Yeah.
It's really been
No, this
amazing.
is
I mean,
great.
I can say, you know, with him hiring on those devs and stuff, that is a massive thing for Cut. I mean, you can a couple months ago, right? It was hard for us to just get like a text back if he was alive or not, and now to see that he's in, we have a dev chat that we all are privy to, but we don't really talk in unless except the devs. And I mean, he is just constantly in there. So the fact that not only is our lead developer, you know, in more communications with the team, not just the other developers, but the mod team as a whole, but let alone just so much more across the board every day. It's a massive positive look for me on as an investor side and not just a moderator side to know that like okay, you know, he's not like where is Cut. It's he's there every day. You know, you ask a question, he answers, he shows up. It's a big thing, right?
Yeah,
So
I actually mentioned in the chat like recently that because people were worried about his intentions and his drive and his motivation. I had to let them know that he seems more driven now than when he started. It's like he's being given new life. He's very active.
I
It's
think
good to see.
it came, you know, I think what Power dealt with and you know, being fully transparent with everybody is Cut had a lot on his plate and it was very stressful, right? He had he had me, Andos, and Mascot yelling at him constantly, right? And not everybody is capable of managing a Discord. You know, I don't know if you guys know, but being in the position I am, I get probably 50 to 100 DMs a day. And if you don't manage those appropriately, if you don't, things get lost, right? Let's say you check a message, you're like, oh, I got to do this. And you go over here and you start doing some work and you've checked 3 messages, but you didn't answer or manage it appropriately. They get left and they get forgotten. And then you feel, you know, let's say it was from, you know, Cut from me to Cut. You feel, you know, ignored or he just didn't read it, but he did, but then he got sidetracked. I think Cut went through a time where he's trying to figure out how to manage that. And, you know, trying to push out work for the community. He believes in this community more than you guys anybody knows.
No, he just needs help. I mean,
Yes.
look, it takes a village to change the world. Like no one individual can do everything, and I think you're right. I think the fact that he's open to bringing in help, and it does. It actually takes trust. So yes, especially with a dev team, because yeah, people can steal money and change codes, and I mean, who knows, right? So it's
that was a big
tricky.
step. It's a huge step because he didn't give me any access. So
yeah, no, it's crazy. It's
so that was probably the biggest hurdle.
Guys. Yeah. Well, okay, so it's because I guess my question is just is this going to expand and grow, or is it just gonna sort of like stay where it is and then hope that it kind of sustains where it is, as opposed to pushing to actually grow this into something much bigger, which is what I hope we're all striving for.
No, I
think it has to grow.
Yeah, it has to grow. I would agree.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yay. Well,
Yeah,
thank you,
I
Lisa.
think
Thank you, guys.
I think it's I think it's a certainty. Just the progression of the project gets bigger. It's going to need more help. It just needs more hands on it. Needs more eyes on it too. I mean, I'm at the point now where I think I need an assistant just to manage my messages.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely going to grow. It's not going to be just a stagnant thing.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up every week and throughout the days. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
No worries.
Appreciate you guys coming up. All right. Well, for me, are we doing one more question? Because I got to get going here soon.
It's up to you if you want to do one more. I'll hang out for one more. Yep.
All right, Paul, what you got?
I just had one question about the compounders. There's got to be a lot of compounders out there that are just making, these fusions so that they can make, and I know that's got to be killing the price.
Yep.
Can we tax them at a certain range? Like maybe when they hit 100, 15% tax, when they hit 200, 25% tax, so that we can kind of bring that back into the community.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I mentioned earlier with the whole compounding, kicking the can down the road. Kind of is what it's done. Is taxes on the table or the decay model? Is that something that can fix it? That's our hope. That's our next stages here is trying to figure out how do we build, change the node costs, get those prices back up, put up a system, maybe a backing system that the guys are working on as well. And then, do we start implementing different taxes for compounding? You have to still have this incentive to want to compound versus claiming, but we got to figure those numbers out. But yes, it's definitely something there.
Right.
Yeah, the only reason that theory wouldn't work there is because, say, for example, once you get to 100 nodes, we increase the tax by 50%. All right, there's just nothing stopping that person from going to a second wallet. They'll reach 99 nodes, boom, second wallet, 99 nodes in that one.
There's no
And there's no way avoiding it.
by IP or anything like that you guys have to link those people.
Technically, you probably could get an IP on it, but I mean, then there's a VPN, and the type of people that would have that many nodes and doing that, there would be 1,001 ways around it. So the solution would have to be like some sort of like a decay, like time taxing, stuff like that, more than taxing based on quantity.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Anything they can get around
that gets doing the IP thing gets away from DeFi as a whole.
Right, of course.
You're gonna always have exploiters. So just trying to understand that how we work around it is a different asset. So
it's just unfortunate because if you got in a little late, you're hoping that you will get your ROI back.
Yeah. No,
well, even for the people getting in now, it's like the price is low, but say you bought in now and you bought X amount of nodes today. Well, the ROI at the current price is still the same as the person that bought 3 months ago. Like it's still like for a nuclear node, it's still a 72-day ROI, right? Obviously, depending on price fluctuation, but the ROI hasn't
price point was very different 3 months ago, though.
Yeah. Right. Well, that's me. If you bought now compared to say a month and a bit ago, you'd actually be in a better position.
Right, but if you bought in December, you'd be poor right now.
Well, yeah, exactly. So price matters, but obviously buying now also you can visually see the size of the treasury as you're backing as well, compared to when the price was abysmal before. It was a lot more risk buying in with the treasury a lot lower. So there's a few pros and cons to buying at different times. But yeah, that's up for the financial risk for everybody to make.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is things that we've spoken about in terms of, like I said, the compounding issue and how to address it. There's some things in theory sound great, but then they'd have massive negative effects on other things. So there's a pretty big process of calculating what will work and what won't work, and how many. It might not also be one size fits all fix. It might be a few different things that need to be implemented over a period of time, and then that will work.
Okay.
So yeah, it is being thought about.
Yep, definitely is.
I appreciate that. I think that's all I had.
All right, Paul, we appreciate you coming up.
Thank you.
All right. That's all I've got for today. Just want to say thank you, everybody, for hanging out. I know it's been a rough couple days. We are definitely still working in the background. I got to get going before the wife kills me. I got to get to the birthday party. So with that being said, guys, you guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you guys in the chat. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
See you guys.